Thank you. It's great to see all of y'all. Great to see all of you here, and appreciate all of y'all that made the trip over to Jonesboro. It made for a great atmosphere, and I tell you what, we had there was a lot of folks in purple out there, and we had a great following, and that made a difference to our guys. The other night was a great night. It didn't start off. I don't know if the word's auspicious or inauspicious, but it was very suspicious the way we started. We had to call a timeout before we ran the first play. We have 8 walkthroughs. We have a bunch of practices, and then you walk through and you type up tips and reminders, and you remind them on the bus, and then you go through the first play. Well, we run the first play, and we're lined up wrong. I said, "Oh Lord, this is not going to be good." Then the second play, we have a little bust on it. So before we got going, it took us a little while. But once we got, once we found our sea legs, the guys played really, really well. It was a total team victory. It took an outstanding performance from our defense. Those guys, played well all year, but they really, really played well the other night. Offensively, we played opportunistic. We had 0 turnovers, which typically when we don't turn the football over and your defense plays well, and you don't have any bad miscues in the kicking game, you're going to give yourself a chance to win. So I was pleased with the fact that, the offense did what they had to do. And the last 2 drives, before the one where we were trying to run the clock out, we went on like a 16-play, 84-yard drive and something like a 15-86. So we really ran some clock and were able to punch it in and get some points on the board. And then special teams played really, really well. Trey Smith, back at the punt returner, that was a play that really did help swing the momentum. It settled everybody, and we'd been talking all week about we've got good players too. And then when Trey, made that play, there were a lot of things that went into it, but Trey's a preseason All-American, outstanding football player. Has had some big returns for us this year, and that really got us going. There were some good blocks thrown on that punt return. Jakari Dillard had a big block. Juan Jackson had a big block. So there were a lot of things that went into that. And then special teams, really helped out. We were very concerned about their punt returning. I mean, they've got an outstanding punt returner back there, a guy that's preseason all-conference in their conference, who had done a great job all year of returning punts. So we were kind of concerned about punting them the football. Well, one of the first 4th down situations we had, Hayden did a great job and got a great punt off. We pinned them deep inside their 2-yard line. Then we had another one where Hayden pinned them deep inside the 10. And then Patrick Ponder did a great job of punting the football all night, especially, the last one. We're kind of backed up. We weren't able to run the clock out to finish the game. We had to punt him the football, and all I'm thinking about is, that guy has had at least one big-time return in every game this year. And, for them, it would been a great time for it. For us, it couldn't have been a worse time for it. We called the little rugby punt that we hadn't utilized all year, and Patrick did a great job of running over and letting the ball hit and roll. And then George, who was, special teams player of the week, or defensive player of the week, made a great tackle on that, and that really backed him up. Key to the football game, there were a lot of them, offense, defense, and special teams. But defensively, those guys did a great job of making Arkansas State one-dimensional. And that's been our deal, through each week, is we've got to make their offense one-dimensional. Well, how do you do that? You take away the run is where we start. If you can slam the door shut on the run, you're not going to run the football, then you kind of know what you got to deal with. You got to deal with them throwing the football. And we feel like we've got, with Trey Smith back at corner, Tyler Williams had a couple of big plays. Tyler had the big interception at the end, had some big plays earlier. I love our corners, our safeties in Devin Spurlock, Jalen Lofton, and Brandon Porter. Those guys played really, really well, along with the Partee, Hadnot, Cardell Best, those guys, Eric Jackson. We've got some guys that can get after the quarterback. And they did a great job all night of limiting them running the football. So now we knew what we had to deal with. Now, they did find a couple of seams throwing the football. They got some guys open, but whenever you devote your resources towards one thing, a lot of times you don't have a lot of resources left for the other. And we devote, our deal on defense is stop the run. And they did a great job of that, throughout the night. And, one of the big things is we may give up a big play, but tackle him, get him on the ground, make him line down and do it again, because if we can tackle him before he scores, then they're going to have to, then hopefully they'll have to run it in, and we're going to have some guys up there by the line of scrimmage, and hopefully they're not going to be able to run it in on us. They're going to have to throw it in on us. And hopefully, with the tackles for loss and the sacks, we can get them behind the sticks. And the other night, the game plan, worked out just the way that we had it planned. So it was a good night, all the way around. Very, very proud of, a lot of guys. Hayden did a lot of good things. The other night to me was we had talked to our guys about, we got good players too. George Odom is an outstanding football player. A lot of the guys that I've been mentioning, Desmond Smith. Desmond, I think, only wound up with 5 catches, but they were 5 big-time catches. Then he got at least 2 interference calls. I'm talking where we're going to get him the football, and he draws interference calls. So that was 2 more first downs. And then, he made a lot of tackles on punt coverage. We were, again, concerned about their returner. Between Desmond and George, they did a great job of bottling that guy up. And then on kickoff coverage, he made some great tackles on kickoff coverage. So, and we pointed out to our younger guys last night, if you want to model yourself, after some older guys that, are not only doing it on offense or defense, but are great special teams players, and there's no 2 better guys to pick than George Odom and Desmond Smith. They're 2 guys that, they're guys that just love playing football. You could put them at Desmond could flip over and play defense. He loves to hit, loves to tackle. You could put him as a wildcat quarterback. There's a lot of things you could do. Last year we faked a punt with George. We snapped it to him, and he got a big first down against SFA to help us win that game. Those 2 guys love playing football, and they don't like coming off the field. So, they show up a lot more than just in their statistics. Last night was we talked about we got good players, and the other team's got good players. But last night came down to a lot of toughness as well. We had some guys that were battling through some things. Earlier in the week, Stockton Mallett and Gilberto Garcia, 2 of my offensive linemen, we're a young group to begin with. And then out of my young ones, the 2 of my better older ones had bad ankles. I mean, they were in a boot on Tuesday. We didn't have a great practice on Tuesday, but they took that boot off on Wednesday and told Dave Strickland, "Hey, I'm practicing. I got to go." Well, we have got to go. My team needs me, and they jumped up and went back out there. Hayden Hildebrand showed toughness. I mean, he was under duress a lot of times during the game. People were coming after him, and at one little comeback throw he threw to Jatavius over on the sideline, he had a guy coming right in his face. He threw it and took a shot and then got right back up. And then a couple of plays later, found Cox in the end zone. So, he showed a lot of toughness. Tyler Williams, I don't know if y'all noticed, Tyler went down early in the third quarter. They had a little helmet-to-helmet type deal over on their sideline, and he was out. And, he was his shoulder was kind of, it looked like it was his shoulder. Dave and them were messing with his shoulder, and I go, well, I probably should go out there and check and see how he's doing, since he didn't get up right away. By the time I got out there, he couldn't squeeze his hand. They were going to squeeze it, and he couldn't. He had a little stinger, good stinger. And anyway, I go, well, he's probably, may not be able to come back. But anyway, they got him to his feet. Anyway, he started. His teammates were looking him in the eyes. We were coming off the field, and one of them says to him, "We need you." Mouth to him as as he was coming off, they were going, "We need you," and he went off. And anyway, a lot of guys would have said, "Hey man, I've done some good things tonight. This has been fun and all that." But anyway, he showed toughness. He jumped up, went right back out there, and wound up having the interception at the end of the game. So that was. Those were Antoine Wales. I go back. It's 4th and 3, and we called. And we need points here. We can kick the field goal, and at that point we'd have still been down. Or do you go for it? Here you are. You're on the road. You're playing an in-state Division I game. All that stuff. You're 3 yards from winning You're 3 yards from having a chance to win the game. Or you kick the field goal and hope something else good happens for you. Antoine Wales said, and this is the guy that I was telling you about with the knee surgery that played them 3 games with the ACL. He said, "Coach, give me the ball." He said, "I'm gonna score or die." And hey, and we called timeout, got that unit back in there, and we ran the counter, and he went in and scored. So to me. But very, very, very proud of that group from the way that they played. But they, the biggest thing was that they showed great toughness, and that's one of the things that we've been preaching and talking to them about is, hey, your teammates are counting on you and all that. And those guys really, I was proud to see that and I was proud to see it pay off for them. And not just play well, but go ahead and win the football game. So that was very, very gratifying for those players to see a lot of things that we've been talking about come through for them. Now, the thing we talked to them about last night, the quickest trip in America is from the penthouse to the outhouse. And, now we turn our focus to Abilene Christian. Abilene has got they're a good football team. They played Air Force, who is really, really good, who was undefeated. I don't know if they played this. They were undefeated before this weekend. They played Air Force close early in the year. They played a very good Stephen F. Austin team. They played a very good Northern Colorado football team. The one little outlier in there is, that they did give up. They lost in overtime to Houston Baptist, and Houston Baptist is, in my opinion, a much improved football team over what we have seen the last 2 years. Abilene is very big and physical on defense. They've got, they play a 4-3 defense with 4 defensive linemen, and 3 of those 4 are all over 300 pounds. The other guy's about 260 in the 265 range. So they've got really good size on defense. They've got one of the leading tacklers in the conference, a guy named Sammy Denmark. Since I've been here, this will be my 3rd year that Sammy has been a preseason all-conference guy. So they're good on defense. Offensively, very good quarterback. Their guy can really throw the football. They're not a big run the football team, but they can really, really throw it. So we have got to do a great job of closing up some of those seams in the passing game and making sure that we can get after the quarterback and put some pressure on them, because they are very, very astute at throwing the football. So it'll be a big challenge for us this week, and the big challenge, is what I told our guys. When we've been successful because we played extremely hard with a lot of passion, and that's what we've got to make sure that we carry with us down to Abilene. Last time we went down there, they got after us pretty good, and there's a lot of guys that will be on this trip that made that trip, and they're very aware of that, and they're aware of the fact that about the quickest trip in America, and we definitely don't want to take that trip. We're 2-0 in the Southland and control our own destiny, and that's if we'll take care of business 1 week at a time, then we'll be in good shape. But this is a big challenge for us, and one that we're really, really looking forward to. And thank everybody that came out and all that couldn't be there, that listened to it on the radio or watched it on TV.